Before I forget it, I'm going to cover one thing. Some new stuff for our library. And when I began my service to the club, I was our club librarian for about 4 or 5 years. But one of our former members who has since passed, Bob Davis, his wife, had me come over and get some of his books and magazines. The magazines haven't made it up here yet because they are still running around in my shop. But I let Mark take these books, look at them, and there are some outstanding ideas in these books. Now, and also Scott gave us, I'm trying to get it to where it doesn't glare, excellent, a DVD by Lyle Jamieson, which Lyle is just so good. But it's bold basics the easy way. So these will be in our library. But they don't have cards. And with that said, we probably need a volunteer to step up and do a banner job with our library. One of the things that I ran across here, back before Christmas, I believe, was these flat-sided twig pots. And so I had some spalted hackberry that I'd picked up at SWAT, had a massive worm inclusion, that I cut up into pieces and made a, this was just my first attempt. There were some things I liked about it and some things I didn't like about it. Now, I put this on our Woodturners Facebook page. Several people saw it. I helped several people do it. And I believe when Mark brought his first one up, I said, there are more directions you can go with that. And so today's demo is about some of the other directions we can go with this. What I like about this part is you can just use plain wood. If it's about 2 inches thick, it'll work. This particular piece is 9 5/8 by 5 3/8 plus or minus by 2. I think this is alder, I think. I don't know for certain. When I am preparing this, I go through a certain procedure for marking the centers. I don't know how well you can see that, but what I do is I will take a straight edge blade and mark from corner to corner, both directions. But I don't trust that, because as I was talking with Mark early on, because we are drilling a hole in it this way, it's got to be spot on. I have known for a long time that probably my favorite hand tool is a combination square, because there are so many things you can do with it. So what I did was, here on the face, I started out by matching up what I thought was the center, where the two X's meet, or where the X met on the end, tightened it up. And then I came to the face, put it here, did a pencil mark, flipped it over, did a pencil mark. And what I discovered was I had wood showing between the two pencil marks. So that told me, you know, my X down here was just a little off. So let's see, I adjusted a little bit. So that was the first one. There's the second one. There's the third one. I still wasn't pleased. I went too far on this one. But the last one I did, I was fairly happy with. And so I took the combination square in my pencil, and I did what I called the drag and draw method, where, you know, the reason there's this little curve right there is for your thumb. And so I could take that with my pencil, drag it down, and finish up my line. I also went ahead and put that line on the end to help me when I was center marking, hitting it a little better, rather than just by the X, because, you know, sometimes corners get chipped off like this one, and that makes it difficult. All right, how I am going to begin with this is I'm going to mount it between centers. This was my practice piece. And last night, about 11:30 when I was leaving the shop, I was like, you know, I would love to have this thing finished, but it's just not happening. So I packed my bag, went home. I was laying in bed about 1:30, not going to sleep. And I was like, gracious, I didn't pack my thin kerf parting tool that I'm going to need this morning. All right, I don't know if you noticed it, but I wrote on here tenon end. I am going to build this with a tenon on it, but really the only thing I use the tenon for is drilling the hole and sanding this part in here. We can do all of our turning, for the most part, between centers. Okay, I'm going to move these so they don't vibrate off. Oh, I've already spilled the beans. Here's another thing you can do with them. You know, it looks nice. So this one will probably have one thing on one side and a medallion on the other side. Now, since I showed this to Mark, and Mark's kind of my guinea pig at times.
I like the
Or guinea pig, you know. Here, try this. I think you'll like it. Did you drill your hole all the way through?
No,
Okay.
no. I just drilled it enough to get a chuck on it, and then I turned one side and made that hole all the way through, and then I turned it around, and so it's been switched 3 different times.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
on 3 different axes.
All right. So I'm going to put on.
Because I wanted the 2 to be absolutely perfect,
Yep.
and the only way you make it perfect is when it's turning.
Well, that's why I didn't drill all the way through. All right. So I'm hoping with this face shield that you can hear me.
Yeah, you can. You're doing good.
Okay. So what I am checking right here, and I think this is probably the most critical thing in turning, is when the tool is sitting level, the bottom of the flute of the gouge needs to be on center. And with this piece, there's no way I can cheat and tell, and so that I don't have to move this tool rest, I'm going to go ahead and utilize the bigger one because it will work. And so I get it level, I adjust things around. Now, at my shop, I don't want to guess. I want to do it as fast as I can. So, one of the things I do is put a metal collar on there with a set screw it down. So all I have to do is drop it in, and it's the right height for my gouges. All right. I would be remiss if I didn't give accolades to somebody I think is just doing a stellar job for our club. Christian has gone in to where we used to have a lot of the demos that were on YouTube, and he has rescued them, right? And so if somebody wants to access one of those, Christian Jensen, where do we go?
Just search for South Plains Woodturners.org.
I think just South Plains Woodturners that you can find.
Yeah.
On YouTube, right?
Yeah. Search YouTube for South Plains Woodturners.
Okay, so it's a lot of our old demonstrations. I saw one that he posted on our Facebook private group that was of Mike Oglesby. So, that is great. All right, I am going to begin here by rounding both edges. When you are turning mostly air, speed is your friend. So,
didn't do it.
Alright? I get chicken. So I'm going to stand over here on some of this. I'm running about 2246 there. Now, since I am going to be putting a medallion on this, I went back and looked at this, and I'm like, this is not a perfectly round circle. If you look up here, it's pointed here. And how can I get that circle to be perfect? And so, as I'm shaping, I'll be referencing these circle lines that I drew before. On the walnut one, I drew the circle after I kind of guessed at the shape. Alright, so this is going to be my tenon end. I'm now going to switch to a spindle gouge. And on a light colored wood, I don't know if you can see it, but I can see the pencil lines. Okay. Yes, that hurt. So you most definitely want to wear a full face shield. In fact, anymore when I am turning out at the shop, I am utilizing the air shield, the strand air shield, and what I like about it is it has a full headgear that's intact. You know, if something were to go south here, I could probably get hit pretty badly with this one. But I knew you could hear better with this one. Okay, so I can tell by the ghost down here that I'm still not to round. Or I'm not to the solid part of the wood. Now, one of the things you will notice here is as I am making this cut, my body is moving a long ways. I'm starting here. I'm using my body to make the cut, but something you may not be able to see here is as I am making this curved cut, I pretty much have the tool closed. Totally closed. And as I work around to here, then I'm going to roll the tool open somewhat and creep up on the higher edge so that I'm getting more of a cut rather than a scrape. Okay, I still have a ways to go. I like to give myself plenty of room down here. And, you know, we've heard about the golden rule, or the golden mean. How things look best when they fit that rule. Now, I'm lazy. I don't want to do the math. Now, if Jim Burt was here today, he would go, wow, yes. You know, I cheat. I think of photo sizes. And if you don't know photo sizes, Robert, they're what? 5 by 7, 8 by 10, 4 by 6, 3 by 5. Why are they that size? Because they look great. And so, you know, I think this started off about 5. So, you know, if it ends up being about 8 inches tall, it's going to look pretty decent. Okay. So, you know, I had over 10 inches to start with. And so that's why I'm giving myself enough room down here, meat-wise, for the tenon. So, I'm going to work safe by getting my tool rest closer now. I'm going to go ahead and form the tenon. I do not worry about the size of this tenon because this chuck, you know, if I make my tenon, you know, a 1/4 inch smaller than the flat, it's still going to work. And that gives me room to get that to fit. So, one of the greatest things I ever heard in a demo was Mark Middleton saying he cheats. Why do I want to do my tenon on this end? Because I have a cheat right here. So, you know, if I size my tenon here straight to match this, then I put just a little dovetail on it and it's perfect. Because I measured here, I still have a little bit of gap. That's going to close up. And so, you know, I'm big there. But I will go ahead and size this to here. But a lot of times, I just eyeball it. If it's close, it'll work. Okay. That looks in the neighborhood. I generally go about 2 blade widths of this tool because I'm lazy and I like to cheat. This is the Carter & Son, and I believe this is about 1/8 of an inch thick. And so 2 of those, that's going to give me a 1/4 inch long finish. So, as you can see with this pair of calipers, I have rounded the tips on them so that I can check it when it's running and not have catches. That's safety. And so I'm still a little big, but I'm going to take my skew and fashion the tenon. And I probably had the tenon a little excessive. So my guess is that's probably going to work out pretty well right there. Yeah. Perfect. All right. Now, the important thing here is that I have a crisp, clean corner. No fillets in the bottom. I want to be as square as possible here because all the strength comes from this surface and this surface. And because this is kind of long, you know, that's kind of scary at times. But like I said, I'm only going to be using that to drill the hole. All right, because this wood is soft, I'm going ahead and retightening. I may do that a couple of times as we go along. All right, so now I'm back to working on my shape. When it starts cutting too much, you notice that I'll stop and peel away some of the extra. I'm going to turn it off to see exactly where I am in reference to the pencil lines. Okay? I can see I've got to go even deeper right here to create the full circle. All right. It looks like I still need a little more running through here. So I'll come back. Now I'm not getting nearly as aggressive. Does anybody besides me ever get the meatball cramp or the drumstick cramp right there? Yes. I'm fairly happy with that. So now, I'm going to adjust my tool rest and begin work on the other end. I will make the decision later on. Yes, sir.
Is there some reason you don't bandsaw part of that out of there?
You could.
Okay.
This is a wood turning demo, though. I mean, it would.
Thought I'd ask.
Well, there is no dumb question. Yes, there is more than one way to skin a cat. Okay. Now the other end. I've got great old big pieces flying off hitting me. This might be a time when a glove might be handy. Yes, Scott?
One of the things that I would respond to the bandsaw question is what you're doing right now. If you had that cut down with bandsaw and you got those big chips off the edges, it could potentially destroy your design.
Yeah.
And it happens a lot if you cut some of that out. You don't have that support to turn down.
Yep. So, this just takes a little longer, but it's fun. And I get chicken. Did y'all hear that big piece that hit my face shield? It did. I heard it really well. Tink. Huh?
There's a few that.
Oh, that might have been the one that bounced off my face shield.
Boy, give that ricochet.
I don't know if you notice it, but I'm not doing anything fancy with the tool. I am getting it in a cut position, and then I'm just moving my body to make the profile that I want. And because this is a spindle gouge, and they recommend you don't overhang more than like 1 3/4 inches. All right. Now I won't be skating around. Okay? I'm good there. I need a little bit right here, and then I need to bring my circle on around.
Jim Bob,
Yes, sir.
could you use a skew to cut that? And if you did, would you get less splintering?
Are you talking about using the skew this way or this way?
That way.
Let's find out. Now, you may not have noticed what I did during the question, but I came on here and just put some rough pencil marks of about where I think I need to start and stop to refine that area. I know the answer to the question, Coy.
I figured you did.
Because I did it on the other one. You're going to get a little bit. The walnut chipped out on me worse than this is. But, you know, you get a little bit rougher cut here. There's a, you know, because I'm scraping. Okay? I need to fix that up right there. I also used a negative rake scraper on the other one, with pretty decent results. So, you know, this just leads me to believe I am just one tool away from greatness. Yeah? And so every year when I go down to SWAT, I buy 2 or 3 tools, and, you know. Yeah, never ending. Okay. All right, so I'm now going to pick up my cut right about here. And I'm going to go up the neck. I don't know about y'all, but I generally try to do something a little different with each one. All right, I still need to go deeper here. My circle looks reasonable for a demo. Okay? I would still probably work on it 10 to 15 more minutes to try and refine it. I would probably come in and draw another circle just to see really how close I am. I picked up this pair of, or this compass at Texas Tool here a few years ago. My guess is my hole is a little off. Okay? Because and so, you know, I'll just live with it. There is a way to cheat. And I will teach you that here in a little bit. But I like to cheat. All right. So, we are going to say I really don't like that, but it'll work for a demo. Oh, Mark's already put his stuff up. I really like Mark's necks. So, you know, let's say I put a bead there, and then, you know, I'm just shaping on the fly here. Okay. Would it look better as a bead? Ooh, I like that better. So I'm just working on proportions right now. I need to waste some of that away. No, I don't like that. I like that. It'll work. Okay. So, there is that part. For safety, I'm going to go ahead, prior to turning this the other way, and get rid of part of what will be flailing around . Alright, so there's where we've gotten to so far. I'll come back and drill the hole later.
talking about drilling a hole later, could you turn that and then use a center finder and then drill your hole?
What, here?
Yeah.
Well, see, because I didn't have my drill press right over here,
I just.
on the walnut one, I was at this point before I drilled the hole.
That was my question.
It works way better. All right, so now the excitement begins. Now I heard this put best during some demonstration I was watching when the person said, this is my side, and I'm never going to go across because, whoops.
Because it might be loose.
Well, I am notorious for going the wrong way. Okay. So, I might want to test something here and say, oh, let's see how true my face is. It's close. It's not perfect. And let's guess and see about how big that is. 2 3/8 in the neighborhood. Okay, so that I do not gore myself, and you'll hear me potentially say bad words, I'm moving this. I'm getting enough room here.
Be careful with that, Jim Bob, don't slide it off the end.
I know, I felt how, Bryce was up here slicking this up. Man, it's great. Okay, so let's, now, not wanting to hit the jaws on the other side, I want to see how, I like knowing where the metal is. But, oh, you sorry dog. Okay, so we will, I am going to work on cutting inside where the truck jaws are. Alright, there it went. So, I might look in here and do a field test. Okay, I have a full fingertip of room between the bottom of the hole and the end of the jaws. So I'm not going to hopefully run the risk of hitting the end of the jaws. And for a demo, that's good enough. All right.
About 20 minutes, Jim Bob.
Oh, gosh. Okay, so here is what I was going to show you. Got to rehook myself. All right. When you are sanding this thing, it has a tendency, as you're sanding this, to take more off the leading edge than off the trailing edge. So what I tried to do was run it a little bit forward and then turn it off, reverse it, and do a little more sanding so that they're both about the same. Another thing I did was, Tom Farrell once said one of the wisest things about wood turning I ever heard. And he said, you can always sand with the lathe off. And so, you know, one of our students in class was very diligent. Ken, he's the young guy that has come with his wife several times. She has a quilt show up in Dimmitt this weekend. So, you know, he went with her to support her. And I'm like, hooray for that. Okay, but each time he did a grit, we saw him turning off the lathe and he was sanding with the grain, and makes your sanding go faster. Because scratches going this way are harder to see than scratches going that way. Alright. Alright, so now let's get to the cabochon. Or, I don't know what you call those things. I've called them medallions, I've called them cabochons, I've called them, you know, look pretty. Okay, so I'm taking this off. How can I make this look prettier? Use some highly figured wood. How much of it am I going to use? Not much. Alright, I know this is harder than a brick. I went out to Acacia and got some of their olive. They've got the olive in the slab room right now. I had to ask where it was. But, you know, any good figured wood will work. Alright. Rice used this last month. And I'm like, hey, that would be great if we could use it again to show that it's not just good for one thing. And so, because I bandsawed my discs, let's see if it's still running true. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm going to put this back in, close the door. How much time do I have, Bryce?
15.
Oh, man, that's a world of time. I'm going to use the best piece I've got. Okay, get this a little closer. I've already pre-marked my center hole. The thing I like about the Powermatic is the quill on this thing will go out forever.
4.5 inches.
Huh?
4.5 inches.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm making sure I hit my center, and I'm gonna tighten this rascal up. All right. Okay. As you can see here, whoo! I love olive. If you've never turned any olives, you need to come up here and sniff this stuff. Smells great. Okay, so if I remember right, okay, what I am doing is measuring how big my opening is. So I want this to be that size or less. What you probably didn't notice right there is I was using my body to create a slight dovetail . Yes! All right, we're through with this. Now there's other ways to do that. There's always more ways.
I would have used a waste block and hot melt glue.
This was faster.
Kind of.
And a lot of times in a demo,
I did it between centers and put it in the chuck.
yep, yep, that would work. So now, what did I do wrong?
I just said the olive smells good up here.
Oh, yes. All right. Because I am forever a thrift, I'm like, oh, I don't need to waste all of that piece. I think I can get 2 pieces out of that. Because it doesn't have to be very thick. And so, I'm going to now throw this in my chuck. I was proud I remembered to raise the face shield.
I was watching.
Huh?
I was watching.
Well,
Waiting for that.
Come on, baby. Be big enough. Aha, yes, baby. Even a blind squirrel finds an acorn every now and then. Okay. What I'm actually going to see is somewhere in the middle of this wood. But before I do that, I'm probably going to cheat since I know the hole on the other side is 2 inches. I'm going to go ahead and cut the tenon on this side to be a 2-inch tenon, or maybe a little less. Okay. So there it is. Get my parting tool again. I'm going to run the risk of goring myself. Be faster since I am running out of time to do this with a spindle gouge. I'm going to go in and screw up my tenon. Get a nice sharp corner in there. You don't need a huge humongous tenon for this. Now I'm going to true up the outside edge. Totally closed here. Had a little bit of a shape to start with. Now so that trip I made out to the shop this morning wasn't totally in vain, because I did go out and get my thin turf parting tool. That's why I was a little bit late. And what I am doing here with the thin turf parting tool is I'm just widening the curve as I go in, taking about a 1.5 blades off. There's one side, here's the other side. Now, I promised you I was going to show you how to cheat. I can move this around and get it to where we got the monitor, I might as well use it. Okay. I can move it around to position it to where it is perfect even though my hole was a little bit off center.
I made mine fit, and I didn't have that, I didn't have that option.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Okay, now, once I get all this sanded, I will take this to my belt sander, my 6x48. And then I'll use my orbital sanders to do this. I'll probably refine this part up here maybe a little more.
It's a good idea to sand them flats before you even start.
Yeah,
I mean, it's so stinking easy, you just sand them up.
yeah.
Turn it.
All right. I will say this, if anybody doesn't have any of this, you know, I've just got abundance of stuff out at the shop that would probably work for this, you know, come out and see me. And if you need any assistance, anything you might have forgotten, holler.